Welcome to the World History 1 lecture series. At the end of each slide there will be a 10-second delay. Use this time to pause the presentation and complete your notes. When you are done, push play and you will move forward. This lecture will begin in 5 seconds. Welcome to World History 1 Lecture 10.2 on Civilizations of Africa, and let's talk about the history of the Great Mystery. Africa is a foreboding continent, and until recently, we didn't know all that much about it. How recently? Look at this map. There are some clearly defined regions on this map, and there are some clearly defined physical features, but there's still a lot of blank spaces. This is what we knew about Africa in 1874 CE. By this point, we know almost everything about Europe and mostly everything about North America and Asia. Africa's geography makes it different, and that difference can still be seen today. Look at this picture of Europe and Africa from space. At night, we can clearly see all of the countries in Europe. France, England, Germany, Spain, Italy, Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and Russia are all lit up. But there's not a lot of lights on down there in Africa. So even today, Africa is the dark continent because its geography makes it very hard to get into. This geography will affect Africa greatly. Africa has a long and rich history, but Africa develops differently than other continents like Europe and Asia. And that development includes the history of several non-traditional civilizations. So, with that said, let's go to the next slide. Many of us can recognize the shape of the African continent, but when it comes to finding places on that continent, we're lost. So let's rely on landmarks we learned about in Unit 2 to locate two non-traditional civilizations in northeastern Africa. Here's the Mediterranean Sea, here's the Red Sea, and here's the civilization of Egypt, which was located in the Nile Delta and the lower Nile Valley on the Nile River. Kush, or Nubia, was located in the upper Nile Valley of the Nile River from 1700 BCE to 300 CE, and its capital was Meroe. So Egypt is in the lower Nile Valley, and Kush is in the upper Nile Valley. Because of this, Kush was closely connected to ancient Egypt, but it was ultimately conquered by Aksum. The kingdom of Aksum was located in the northern highlands of Ethiopia, along the Red Sea, and along the upper Nile River from 1000 BCE to 1000 CE. This civilization, Aksum, conquered Kush or Nubia, and Aksum was around for about 2,000 years. Aksum was a Christian civilization with Jewish roots. Trade linked Aksum to India and the Mediterranean. Even with the Islamic Empire at the door, the Islamic Empire did not convert Aksum, but it cut it off from trading partners. This, plus internal religious strife, led to Aksum's decline. So, we find things in Aksum like the obelisk of Aksum, but when it comes to major cultural diffusion and growth, there is minimal cultural expansion in these two civilizations. Go to the next slide. We just looked at two African civilizations that had 2,000 years of history between them and minimal cultural development. Let's see if the same thing holds true with civilizations in Western and Central Africa. Here is a map of Africa. This is where we find Egypt, and now we're going to look at the Kingdom of Ghana. Ghana was located in western Africa, north of the Niger or Niger River Valley and south of the Sahara Desert from 300 CE to 1240 CE. This civilization is around for a long time. The government was led by Ghana, or the ruler, who was treated as a semi-divine king. And even though Ghana is all the way out there in Western Africa, we're going to have significant cultural diffusion. The economy was based on the gold Ghana sold to Muslim traders for salt. So Muslim traders are bringing salt from the Middle East to Ghana, and they are bringing gold back from Ghana to the Middle East. This is known as the Trans-Saharan Trade, or the Sand Road. Here's the cultural diffusion. There were two major religions in Ghana: animism, which is the belief that non-human entities have souls, and Islam, which spread to Ghana. But Ghana, the ruler, and many people in his kingdom kept their traditional beliefs. So we have all the markings of civilization in Ghana, and we have cultural diffusion. The question is, where do we go from here? Go to the next slide. The next civilization we'll look at in Western and Central Africa is Mali. Here's the continent of Africa, and here's the location of Egypt. Mali was located along the Niger or Niger River from north central Africa to the Atlantic Ocean from 1000 CE to 1450 CE. Mali overtook the Kingdom of Ghana and geographically became the largest kingdom in Africa at this point in history. The economy was based on the gold for salt trans-Saharan trade. Mali's economy is exactly the same as Ghana's economy. Mali was ruled at its peak by Sundiata Keita in 1325 CE, who united the tribes of Mali, and Mansa Musa, who's around from 1312 to 1337 CE, is Mali's greatest emperor. He makes Timbuktu the center of government, trading, learning, and religion. Mansa Musa does something else as well. Mansa Musa converted to Islam after visiting Mecca. He went on a Hajj from all the way over in Western Africa to Mecca, and he converted to Islam. But local religion, that animism, continued to be practiced. So, despite all of this history happening in Mali, there is once again minimal cultural expansion. Go to the next slide. Finally, we're going to talk about the Kingdom of Songhai. Here's the continent of Africa. Here is the civilization of Egypt. And Songhai is located in the former Ghana and Mali kingdoms and spreads throughout all of the Niger and Niger River Valley in Western Africa from 1450 to 1591 CE. Here's the gold for salt trans-Saharan trade route. It's going right into Songhai, just like it did into Mali and Ghana. Songhai becomes the largest West African empire, and Songhai is defeated by the Moroccans, who are other Africans, due to superior technology. In other words, Songhai looks just like Ghana. In 1300 years, there is minimal cultural expansion in all three of these Western and Central African civilizations. Go to the next slide. So we've explored 5 African civilizations all of which are similar in that they have minimal cultural expansion. It's not like the cultures in these civilizations are bad or poor. It's just that these cultures do not evolve or expand over time. So let's look at one more African civilization to see if this concept holds true in the southeastern part of the continent. Here's the continent of Africa. Here's where we find the civilization of Egypt. And now we're going to talk about Zimbabwe, which was located between the Zambezi and Limpopo rivers in Southeast Africa from 1100 to 1500 CE. This civilization is 400 years old. The economy was based on a gold for agriculture trading system, much like what we saw on the trans-Saharan trade route. A little bit different though. Zimbabwe's got rock art. Not that rock art. Great Zimbabwe was the capital of a group of city-states during its golden age, and it includes a great shrine. Now that's rock art. In the end, Zimbabwe converted to Islam to avoid slavery and to continue trade. So now we have 6 African civilizations, and they are all non-traditional civilizations because there is minimal cultural expansion in all of them. That's it for this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class.